Hey friends, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I've decided I'm going to share with you guys the spending rules that I have come up with for myself as it relates to hobbies and things that I've really reflected on and decide that I overconsume in those areas. So I'm going to process through this situation. I've already kind of been brain dumping it. And I'm going to be breaking this into 4 separate categories, but I thought it would be fun just to show, because I know sometimes I do talk about overconsumption, especially as it relates to stationery, the planner community, but there are other areas in life that I do overconsume as well. And so I need to make some rules for myself, you know what I'm saying? And that is what my intention is for this video. And I'm doing this to kind of share my thought processes, but also because, as an accountability thing. Now, none of these are going to include things that are gifted to me for a review on my channel or anything like that. These are things that I am talking about purchasing with my own money, whether that be revenue that I earn from making content or whatever. I don't make a ton of that, either that or my full-time job. So I wanted to just go ahead, hop in, and let's get this party started. So I am labeling this my 2025 spending rules. And periodically I will check in with you guys and let y'all know how it's going. So my first category is going to be no buys, no spend. Cannot spend money on these things. Let me bring that line over just a little bit. And I put quite a few things on this list, and the reason that I did is because I evaluated all of the things that I currently own as it relates to these items, and I have an abundance of them. So number 1 is gonna be stickers. I cannot buy any stickers for this year. I can make my own stickers using sticker paper, or I can use what I have in my stash, but I am going to do my best to not purchase any stickers for 2025. The next one on my list is sticky notes. That is another thing that I have an abundance of. And when you have an abundance of an item, I don't think I need to keep purchasing it. The next thing on my list will be page flags. This is going to be a hard one for me because I love me some page flags. But again, I have an abundance of those and I don't want to keep buying them. Okay, planner covers. I will not be purchasing any planner covers, notebook covers. That's kind of like an umbrella term for 2025. Physical books. This is going to be a hard one. The reason I am saying physical books is I pay for the Kindle Unlimited app, and I don't have the space to keep buying books and having books in my house. So I can utilize a library if I want a physical book. I can read what I currently have, or I can go on Kindle and purchase something from there. The next thing is going to be planner inserts. I'm not going to be purchasing any planner inserts for 2025. That is another situation in which, number 1, I have several files full of planner inserts. And based on the fact that I am not using my personal rings for planning per se, then that means I don't need to constantly buy them, refresh them, everything. Those inserts also include planner dashboards. Anything that I would insert into my ring planner is something that I will not be buying in 2025. And lastly is going to be pouches. That is another thing that I tend to overconsume, and I get on my nerves with that nonsense. I have more than enough pouches, so I do not need any more. So yes, let me get my little dot marker here. And we're gonna make it matchy. If I can open this. So to review for 2025, my no-buy items are stickers, sticky notes, page flags, planner covers, physical books, planner inserts, and pouches. All right, my next category is going to be my low buy. These are items that I'm not going to purchase many of these. These are things I need to be extremely mindful of me purchasing, and it has to be something that I really, 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 really want in order for me to purchase it. So that's going to be art supplies, number one. So art supplies, that is going to include, I feel like I need, so it's going to be markers, and then like sketch pads, brushes, and like watercolor paper, because I do like to do art. And with that being said, because I do like to do art, I do need to have the supplies, but I don't need to buy them in abundance. I need to just buy them if I find a really good deal on something, if my sketchbook is empty, anything like that. All right, the next one is going to be washi tapes. I didn't want to say no to washi tapes because I feel like that was going to set me up for failure. So no to the washi tapes. Okay. And also I want to go back. I guess sticky notes and notepads need to be back to my no buy, because both are applicable. I'm really bad if I don't buy sticky notes than I do buy notepads. To me, they're one and the same. Fountain pen inks is going to be the next thing on my low buy list, because I have an abundance of those as well. I am going to low buy the number of books on Kindle because I pay for the Kindle Unlimited service. So I need to utilize the service that I'm using on a monthly basis, or that I'm paying for on a monthly basis. And the last thing is going to be stamps. Low buy on the stamps, because there is a set of stamps that I want. They're weather stamps. And I know that when they do become available again, I do plan on purchasing them. So I didn't want to put them on a no-buy list. And I think stamps, and then I will also include ink pads, because that's, I think, one and the same. All right. Let me put my little dots here. So these are my low buy items. It'll be art supplies, which are markers, sketch pads, brushes, paper. That's kind of like some examples. Washi tapes, fountain pens, books on Kindle, and stamps and ink pads. So those are my low buy items. Now let's move to my only to replace. And I reserve the right to add more things to this list as the year progresses. I am just trying to be extremely mindful, again, of not over consuming, but also like mindfully spending my money. So I'm going to call this only to replace. Okay. So my items on my only to replace list are notebooks. I have so many freaking notebooks and I need to use what I have. So I will not buy a notebook unless I start using one or I need a new one. I need to use what I currently have in my stash before I move on to getting another one. The next one is going to be pens. Again, if the ink is running low in a Clenna, I can buy a refill. If my Pilot Juice starts going out, then I will purchase, another Pilot Juice. But I'm not just going to be buying pens all willy-nilly. I have more than enough pens. And again, I'm trying not to overconsume and spend my hard-earned money on things I don't necessarily need. Vellum is going to be the same thing. I will buy vellum to replace vellum. Sticker paper, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And then we're going to put printer paper. I'm pretty good about like only buying like photo paper to replace paper. Makeup, that's going to be one for me. Makeup. I will impulsively purchase makeup and I don't use it. So I need to start. I really, really, really need to start only buying makeup when I run out of something, because I have staple products and that's it. Another one is highlighters. Again, I use Tombows for highlighting. I use Bic highlighters. I use the S Notes. I have so many highlighters. It is ridiculous. I don't need to buy any more. Body spray. That's just, another thing that I tend to overconsume on. And nail polish. I'm not going to keep buying new nail polishes when I have my staple colors. So nail polish I will only buy to replace. Vinyl. Sometimes I get a little crafty and I want to use my Cricut Joy. I don't need to be, I go through bouts where I'll buy like a ton of vinyl. But I don't need to, and then it's just, it accumulates. And so I'm not going to buy any vinyl unless I am replacing something. Yeah. And then paper packs. So paper packs are like the ones you buy at like Michael's, that type of thing. I went on a paper pack buying spree in 2024, and I have so many paper packs. I haven't used them, and so it's like I'm not buying any more paper packs unless I use the one that I have. All right, I don't have my pink dot marker, so we'll just use the Crayola Super Tip to make my dots for cohesion. So again, this is my only to replace. These are only things I can purchase for myself if I'm planning to replace an item. And then my last one is, these are items that I have to budget or save for. So these are things that if I decide I want it, it's cool to have it, but it has to be worked into the budget, or I have to save over time for it, or I have to plan ahead for it, unless, because there are a couple of things on here that like could, I could need something, and we'll get to that. So if it breaks, then of course I have to replace it. But that's not always the case. So I'm going to put budgeted or saved for. Okay. And it's not many items. Number one is fountain pens. I don't go on like fountain pen buying sprees, but there is a specific fountain pen that I want, and I've been saving for it. And that's cool. If I save for it and I plan ahead of time, then I can buy it. That's cool, right? The next one is going to be clothing. Again, there are absolutely times in life that I'm going to need clothes, but I need to plan for that ahead of time. And that's kind of like my whole point, so that I'm not just going in like, oh, that's cute, and then buying it impulsively. So I think that's part of the reason why too, is like I'm trying to avoid impulsive spending. And again, these are things like as it relates to me. Like I'm not talking about my kids, because they grow and they need new clothes all the time. I dropped $100 today because Sophie needed like some new leggings and Malaya needed some stuff. So that's fine. But for me, because I'm pretty much the same size, unless I lose a tremendous amount of weight or gain a tremendous amount of weight, I have plenty of clothes to wear. The next one is shoes. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I used to buy shoes all the time. Again, I can buy shoes like if my workout shoes like are messed up or you get a hole in them or whatever, absolutely I can buy another pair of shoes. But my whole point is I'm not just going to go into like Dick's Sporting Goods and be like, ooh, I want some Air Maxes without planning for that ahead of time. I guess is my whole point. Lastly is going to be planners, because usually y'all as planner people, we usually buy our planners, right? Like a few months before we start using them, or I do anyway. So those are things I'm going to have to budget for ahead of time. I'm going to have to know. Usually Hobonichi launch day is, September 1st. So I need to budget accordingly, that type of thing. So that is how I'm handling. These are items that I am budgeting or saving for. And I wrote this little thing. This is my reminder to myself, is I'm not making these rules to put limitations on myself. The point of these rules is to use what I have, avoid overconsumption, avoid impulse spending, and spend my hard-earned money mindfully. That is the whole point of this. So I'm going to write that, because when I was you know, I have my my B6 notebook to the side here. I need to write that, right? So I'm just gonna, you know, write that in. So number 1, use what I have. Number 2, avoid overconsumption. Number 3, avoid impulse spending. And number 4, spend my hard-earned money more or mindfully. So, yeah, again, that's the whole reason why I made this. And I can add stuff, you know, if I start seeing things like ads. Do y'all get sucked into those ads on Instagram? I get sucked into them, and then I think I need it. And I'm like, no, they're marketing you based off of what you're looking at, and you don't need it. Or if you do need it, you need to save and budget for it. So yes, that is what I'm saying are my 2025 spending rules. And again, I have a reason. I'm a purpose-driven person. It's like if I understand the reasoning behind something, I'm more likely to do it. So that's why, like, I had to journal this out first and process through my feelings and my thoughts on it. But these are my 2025 spending rules as it relates to like my hobbies per se and other things. So I'm curious, do any of you guys have no spending rules? Are you guys on no spend challenges? Or are you just like, oh, whatever, I get what I want because it's my money and I do what I want with it? Either or any of them are fine. I just know what my goals are in the next 5 years, and I am trying to do what I can to support those goals. And one of those is, you know, successfully budgeting and being more mindful about how I'm spending my money and developing those good habits and understanding why I tend to do the retail therapy. Anyway, I hope this was like helpful information to you guys and you guys weren't like, oh my gosh, what was the point of this? But yes, so that way, if I, you know, am feeling impulsive, it's in this book that this is my journal / memory book. And then what I plan to use this page for at the end of the year is I want to write down how I feel like I did. Like, let's do a review as the year progresses. And so what I'll be using my daily pages for, as well as like my memory keeper, is if I order something that I don't need or, you know, that are within the parameters of these rules, I'm going to try to note it down somewhere in this book so that I can go back and look at it. But yeah, so anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope this was helpful. I will see you guys in my next video, and I hope you have a fabulous day. Bye, friends.